As the global economy gets tighter, central banks run into more issues. Commercial banks are over indebted and borderline tapped out. There's no way they're going to let you off the hook by having a line of credit that you can use to benefit you. The banking system wasn't designed for that. Starting this year, credit won't be as easy to get as it used to be. Let's talk about this. Okay, so I'm back with a little RTD quick take. Wanted to share a quick article and some thoughts in regards to what I consider to be the credit line crackdown. And what that simply means is that commercial banks, especially those that are really right now experiencing a pinch due to all the issues they're having with delinquencies, bankruptcies, all types of things that's being piled up onto their balance sheets, or issues they're going to have to face in the days ahead heading into Q3, as I mentioned before. So what we're going to experience is more banks that were very lenient before in oversupplying credit line because this economy is based upon consumption. And I believe it's starting with what Capital One is just doing. And of course, a lot of people on social media are extremely mad. So I want to just thumb through this article real quick, share with you a couple of tweets, get your thoughts at the very end of this. So if you enjoy this type of quick summary, feel free to click that subscribe button, as well as that notification bell. Look forward to bringing you more of these little updates here. So here's an article I want to touch on briefly. It says Capital One cuts card limits amid U.S. global aid impasse. And so basically what this boils down to is the fact that because the United States government, the left and the right, are both having issues right now with coming to an agreement upon how much they're going to provide in aid for people to be able to sustain themselves now, nevertheless, hopefully touch some of the back payments they have when it comes to credit card as well as rent and things of that nature. It looks like Capital One is going to lead the charge, basically randomly cutting the credit lines to a lot of individuals without a warning or a heads up, which ultimately, as I'm seeing from a lot of people on social media, is impacting their credit negatively. So thumbing through this article here, giving an idea what's going on. It says Capital One is cutting borrowing limits on credit cards, reining in its exposure as the U.S. reduces support for millions of unemployed Americans. The adjustments which the company said makes from time to time set off a swift outcry on social media. It says some customers have complained in recent days their limits have been slashed by a third or two-thirds, eroding their ability to borrow in an emergency during a pandemic or potentially hurting their credit scores. And so as statistics have shown, the idea of majority of Americans having an emergency fund of roughly $400 to $1,000 these days are non-existent. So a lot of people have become dependent upon utilizing credit cards for, as it says in this article here, an emergency line or some type of back support just in case they needed it. But due to the last 6 months of activity in this country, as well as around the world, a lot of people have found themselves upon hard times that were unplanned for. Therefore, their emergency line has become their primary source of income. And so we have Capital One here basically making the call of cutting back to, as it says, 1 to 2/3 of people's credit line, which basically caught a lot of people by surprise. And as I'm going to show you right here on Twitter, a lot of people are not too happy with it. So here's a tweet right here that says, "Hey all, Capital One credit card users just found out that even long-time perfect pay high FICO score customers are having their credit limits reduced during this current situation. Since they are using the excuse that people are not spending enough, doesn't sound moral or legal to me." Here's another tweet here. It says, "Shame on Capital One. Among 4 card issuers cut limit on credit card we keep for emergencies by greater than 60%. Says perfect credit line, never late, had for years. Thanks for standing with the community during the pandemic." So here we have just 2 examples of individuals just expressing their displeasure in the fact that they were surprised, caught off guard by their emergency lines being cut from them underneath their feet without any type of warning. And so this is just the beginning of what's coming. And so not only has the Federal Reserve basically put out the hit upon the American public that they're going to double up on inflation moving forward, but also the commercial banks, due to the trouble they're in, they're going to start removing some of these emergency lines, furthering the credit line crunch, which will make the days even tougher for a lot of individuals. So as I've always said, make sure you take advantage of the opportunities you have now to get your weight up, get heavy, put your currency into things that's going to appreciate and add value into your life, and really start considering what you're going to be doing in the days ahead as inflation continues to erode away the purchasing power you have of the currency you do have in banks. And so we're entering into a time where it's never been more obvious of the importance of having physical weight in the form of gold and silver, as well as any other alternatives that you prefer to preserve your purchasing power. Because as the banks get in trouble, they're going to pass on the pain to the depositors as well as those that have a remaining credit line. And so the credit line crackdown continues. I'm curious to find out what you think. Are you surprised at all? I know we have a lot of people in the RTD community is excited about utilizing our credit line. So are you going to double down and get your weight up even more, given the fact that your credit line can be cut any minute without warning? Just curious to find out. Share your thoughts on this video. Leave a comment down below. Share this information so people can find out what's going on here. Don't rest upon the credit line from the banks. Banks are not your friend. They're there to profit off of you, not to help you out. Other than that, look forward to bringing more of these updates. See you later.